I knew Chokwe Lumumba, and I meant to call him and let him know who he had beside him. But I did never get a chance before he passed.
Okay, the battery is almost out. But guess what? I have another one right in my pocket. These batteries last about 25. Wow. It's actually 25:54. Might as well say 26 minutes. But I do have another fresh battery.
When you have one, I'm gonna run and where we at and where we're going.
Okay, and we will be able to come back with the one and only Mr. Tyrone Travis of Detroit, one of Detroit's true grassroots freedom fighters, in the midst of all of this corruption that we have in Detroit that most of us really don't seem to understand. This man has been out here on this battlefield for a long time trying to wake up the public to come out and help him and help us as we try to free ourselves up from corruption in the Motown did. And we're going to be back at you in a minute. We'll be at Connie's and Barbara's and we're having some delicious soul food. And after we get done, we're going to hit you again with some more info from the hood. Good information from the hood. Okay, good people of Detroit, Mr. Tyrone and I, we had some delicious soul food over there at Connie's and Barbara's restaurant, a very community, and I swear I got the feel of being in the community, a black-owned restaurant over there on the west side of Detroit. You know I'm on the east. So we got Mr. Tyrone, he's from the west side, and so now, yeah, we had a great time over there at the restaurant, which is a strong part of his community. It's been over there for a long time, and I'm going to start going over there a lot more often. We're over here at Stockton Park, which is right next door to the Manoogian Mansion, where all our mayors have lived. Starting with the one who we all loved and respect and appreciated, which was Coleman Alexander Young, who really represented us. Then we had Dennis Cherator. Then we had Kilpatrick Cherator, and then we had interim Mayor Ken Cocker Cherator, and then we had Dave being a goddamn traitor, and now we got that bucket ass head Mikey Duggan, a damn traitor, Mike Duggan, Livonia Mike Duggan. And this is where the Manoogian Mansion is. We're over here at lovely Stockton Park, and we're with Mr. Tyrone, and we want to hear what Mr. Tyrone has to say. What's going on, Mr. Tyrone Travis?
Well, we're in a tough spot right now. We're in what's going on, the policy is to what they call ethnic cleansing. And they got many policies, housing policy, water policy, just name it. That's to drive the current black population out of Detroit. Either we continue and let them force us out, or we should stop all the policies of ethnic cleansing, and we should then, after we stop the policies, determine our own future and our children's future. And the only means I see is possible is direct mass action. Not going to courts. We've seen we're going to courts. We have lost every battle since '96.
And we have lost every battle at council too.
At the council. We have lost every battle. Going to Lansing, we lost every battle. For all those who still telling us to go to court, to a judge, when the power lies with us, it's working on the side of corporation to push us out of the cities. And what corporation usually does is give them a program, such as on Adams and Woodward, you can go and get on the plan for water. Those are token improvements, and that is to keep the power from moving. The power is within us, like the power in Montgomery in 1955. It was the people, not Martin Luther King, who brought Montgomery to its knees. It was the people in Birmingham who brought Birmingham to its knees. So therefore, instead of us going and to Reverend Holly to get 70 pounds of food, Martin Luther King says to flick a coin at a beggar and leave the source that made him a beggar in the first place intact is a crime. So that's what you see today in Detroit by the activists. They don't have no members, but they can pull them up when they want them.
You know, Mr. Tyrone, a lot of people in the community, when we ride around the city and we can see the abandonment and, you know, things like that, we can see just a harsh, ugly reality sometimes, but not throughout the whole city, but in many parts we can. I listen to people, I listen to the church, the preachers, they seem to blame us, they blame the people, they blame the parents for not raising their children, and of course the media does it as well. But is that really true? Is there someone else to blame for 20 years of a city going backwards instead of going forward?
Yes, it was the policy of the federal government. The federal government, they said deindustrialization of Detroit. There was never deindustrialization of Detroit. There was suburbanization of all Detroit's economy. That economy was, they took out manufacturing out of Detroit and gave it to the suburbs. They took out big commercial entities such as Hudson and the department stores and wholesale and put it in the suburbs. That's what, that took job opportunity and jobs from Detroit. That's why we in this crisis we're in. But then to make matters worse, the federal government took the 1965 and 68 Immigration Act to run us out of the city and replace us with immigrants. And they financed the immigrants starting in the late 70s with the Small Business Administration. They financed them billions of dollars to take over the retail in Detroit and every major city across this country that black folks went to find jobs and was living in.
So it wasn't Mama and them, it wasn't Laquita, Shaniqua, and Ray and all of them who tore up Detroit.
It was not them, and all you got to do...
It was policy.
It was the policy from the federal government. It was the 1965 and 68 Immigration Act that brought the immigrants to the cities, and then they worked in conjunction with Small Business Administration, and they gave them billions of dollars. When you look at the statistical abstract, look for Small Business Administration grants and loans. You'll see back from the 70s, they gave billions of dollars, and they says Asian Americans. What that means, it includes, like in Detroit, Cardinians. They say, and then look at what they gave loan blacks. 2 or 3 million, loan the immigrants 4 or 5 billion. That's how they owned the stores, and it wasn't that like the black nationalists and the Muslims and the others, little black business talk about blacks didn't buy for me, thought the white man's ice was cold. There wasn't no white man in here, it was immigrants. And they was financed by the Small Business Administration. That's the federal government with our dollars. That's how we got in the shape we're in today.
Tell me this, you know, it can be frustrating when you're fighting for something for years and years and you keep coming out on the losing end. I can recall the 20 years of the Coleman and Young administration. He had the respect, the love, and the favor of the people. He was able to do it for 20 years, and every time I voted for him, and I always came out on the winning side. Why is it that since 93, 94, up to 2014 now, that everybody who I voted for never won, and every battle that we fought at council, at the school board, and places like that, we lost? Why is that? And who are some of these people that we should be looking at?
In Detroit, since Coleman died, we have been under the dictatorship, a black dictatorship of political careers. They go from school board to city council, from city council to county government, and back and forth. They do it, and we keep voting for them. When you see a person going back and forth, that's a career. He's not representing us. We haven't had no representation. The successive mayors and city councils since definitely 94 has been people looking out for their own interests, their political careers, and they also are political oligarchy.
Because you see them on school boards, you see them on council, you see them as state reps, you see them as county execs, you see them as senators and everything.
And that should tell us right then we should not vote for them because they say they love kids. Vote for me on school board, but if they got an opening the next month in city government, they'll leave kids and go over city government. So we've been the fools. We've been voting for them all the time. And they tell us that we died to vote. We did not die to vote. We died to get representation through voting. Right. And we wasn't able to get it because now we are under the colonial dictatorship of a political black oligarchy. Not only in Detroit, every city I went to, We are under that. The working and poor people are under that black political oligarchy. They are taking orders directly from finance capital and cooperative CEOs.
Tell me this with the school board. I would like for you to touch on Jimmy Womack, Kenneth Burnley, and Bill Coleman. You know, they were like the Womack was the president of the school board. Coleman and the other one, they were like the superintendents. I can recall a little while back, you were very vocal about the Detroit Public Schools, the takeover of it, having an emergency manager. I forget their names. They were the dictators that Kevin Orr is. You were talking about at one point it was the school closures and the crazy amount of elementary schools. Could you comment on that one?
In every community in Detroit and around the country, they are built around schools. Schools is an anchor to the community. And that's what we failed to understand in Detroit. When they started talking about charter schools and stuff, those in 1997, there was Horace Sheffield Jr., Reverend Horace Sheffield Jr., John Elliott of the Teachers Union, and Donna Boggs of the OSAS, that's the Administration Association. They got on TV and said, somebody got to do something. They couldn't talk about the deficit because we wasn't in a deficit. They couldn't talk about the graduation rate because we was increasing.
That's right.
But they told if they could get a few crumbs and they could get a few schools. And they then invited England in here. And England came in and gave the ministers those schools. And the first minister to get a big school was Reverend Holly at the Little Rock Baptist Church.
That's right.
Acting like he wanted to help the people. He's a deaf angel.
That's right.
He came in and got a church. And then you had the black nationalists say they wanted, the bourgeois black culture nationalists, say they wanted African Center School. That was to open up our public school. And now the results is we got nothing but charter school. We are separated from the public white school. They have resegregated us and isolated us educational-wise that we don't even have an education in Detroit, just like in Louisiana, they don't even have no education for black children, and in a knowledge society sit back for generations to generations.
And mind you, this is a tyrant. We're talking about John, KKK, redneck, trailer park trash England.
Yes, and they all, the NAACP, all of them, united with England and brought him in here.
And these black
the
folk
ministers was the social prop.
And the preachers.
At that time was the Council of Baptist Pastors.
Okay, and we're talking about Reverend Holly, a preacher.
Reverend Holly is the
He was the first. He was the first one to get in line to get one of those schools, and wasn't he the one who got a contract to deliver spoiled and rotten food to?
I don't know. I think I heard he did.
Well, yes, he did.
He did.
And,
yes.
there were many reports of children vomiting and throwing up in school due to this poor food.
Yes.
Before the school got taken over, we had one of the best lunch programs that I could think of anywhere in the world. I grew up in it, and many people in my age group, they would tell you how good that food was, especially like the fish on Friday and that good spaghetti with the little cheese on top. Yeah, but
so
right.
They didn't just do that in Detroit. In every major city where blacks was,
yes,
they came up with charter schools, because if you close a school, like there's 52 in Chicago, you just didn't close academic for our children. You closed the whole community, start having abandoned houses, and that's the process of Negro removal. In the political circle on the world front, they call it ethnic cleansing.
Can you tell us about the way they went crazy? They just went on a rampage on our elementary schools when they had begun the school closures.
In 2004, the first schools they closed were elementary. 104 elementary in 2004 or 5. I don't know offhand. They said they wasn't functioning. Well,